Okay, shut up and watch your movie. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're here from my first two videos. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. So if you're new to my channel, what I do is every Tuesday I am doing a new video in a series called More Than the Music, and I'm going to talk about a different artist every week that I find inspiring, or someone that you guys suggest to me that you find inspiring, and I will research them and talk about why someone might find them inspiring or why I do. So that's going to be every single Tuesday. That's what I'm doing. Last week I did Taylor Swift. If you want to check that out, I can link it down below. And make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications if you want to see all of these, so that way you're updated when I post new videos. Okay, so for today's More Than the Music, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite artists, John Denver. John Denver, if you don't know, because if you're my age, you probably don't know, like it's weird that I do know, he was a singer and a songwriter. He was really, really famous in the 70s, like mid 70s, but he had a career that lasted several decades. He started out in the late 60s up until his death in the 90s. He was very famous. So John Denver, it's kind of hard to classify what genre he is in. I'll talk about that a little bit later. You might call it folk or country western, maybe Americana. I don't really know. It's very hard for me, at least, to define what he is, and I think for others too. But again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So some of the songs that he's most famous for are Rocky Mountain High, Annie's Song, Take Me Home Country Roads, and Leaving on a Jet Plane. Leaving on a Jet Plane kind of got famous because Peter, Paul, and Mary recorded it after he wrote it, but that is his song. So you might know that song from somewhere else if you don't know it by John Denver. But John Denver was really famous, especially in the mid 70s. He won a ton of awards, a lot of country music awards, but a lot of just regular music awards, and he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1996. I find John Denver inspiring both as a person and as a musician and a songwriter, and I know so many other people do. Like, if you listen to a lot of artists, they're going to talk about people who inspired them. John Denver is a huge one. He's been very influential in the music world. John Denver got a guitar when he was 11 years old, and he learned how to play it, and then by the time he was in college, he was playing in local clubs and with bands, and by the time he was 26, he had his own record deal with RCA Records. He had a handful of #1 singles in the 70s, and that's when his career really catapulted and he became an absolute sensation. And not just in America, he did a lot of international touring too. One of the specific reasons I find John Denver so inspiring is that his music was true to life, and I think that's why a lot of people were able to connect with his music, especially during the 70s and in that time period with Vietnam and everything. There was a lot of civil unrest, social and political issues going on, and people were constantly in disagreement. But John Denver's music was about humanity and our commonality, and that really brought people together, and they could find something that was just very human and real and raw in his music. He really understood the human heart and the human mind and how people communicated to each other and how we related to each other, and he had an incredible talent for telling stories through songs. I'm going to get a piece of paper because I wrote down one of my favorite quotes by John Denver that I think really sums up his view of music and why he did what he did. Quote, "Music does bring people together. It allows us to experience the same emotions. People everywhere are the same heart and spirit. No matter what language we speak, what color we are, the form of our politics, or the expression of our love and our faith, music proves we are the same." End quote. Because John Denver had such a connection to the human spirit, he became very passionate about political causes, specifically in environmentalism and humanitarian efforts. He served on the board of directors and even helped found so many organizations that helped environmental causes, humanitarian efforts, political groups, including the Hunger Project, Friends of the Earth, the Human Dolphin Foundation, and the Presidential Commission on World and Domestic Hunger. He played a lot of shows as benefits for different causes, and the money would go to a certain organization or to raise awareness for a certain cause. And he also was very involved in the development of NASA's Citizens in Space program, and he wanted to go up into space, but that didn't end up working out, but he had a lot of influence in helping push that forward. Whether you agree with John Denver's politics or not, or any celebrity's politics, I think there's something very admirable about using your platform for more than just to promote yourself and to further your own fame. John Denver was so passionate about so many things, and he used the fame that he had from singing and songwriting to benefit the world in the ways that he thought were best. He was really passionate about certain things, and he used his money and his platform to speak out about those things and to improve those things however he could. A lot of his songs are just about nature, or he compares love or things like that to nature. He absolutely loved the earth. A lot of his hobbies were outdoors. outdoor type of things, things that celebrated life and the planet. He just loved the earth. And John Denver itself was a stage name. His name was John, but Denver was a stage name. He absolutely loved Denver, Colorado. He loved Colorado. And so he took that, and Colorado became a part of who he was. That's how much he cared about Colorado and about the world. He just loved it. And Rocky Mountain High is actually one of the 2 state songs of Colorado now. So that's just pretty cool. He also adopted. That's not something he did to promote a cause. He genuinely wanted to adopt children. But I think that's also something that just shows what kind of person he was and how much he loved all of humanity, the whole world. And he loved his children. That was also a huge part of his life. Something interesting that ended up being a bit of a controversy at times when I was talking about what genre John Denver was. It's a little bit hard to pin down because he was a little bit all over the place, not in a bad way, in a very good way. He just made music that he loved. And it's beautiful music, it's amazing music, and it all sounds like John Denver, but there are definitely songs that lean a little more country than folk or western. And he never called himself a country artist. He even said, I don't consider myself a country artist, but some of his songs have become country staples, like Take Me Home Country Roads, Thank God I'm a Country Boy. Like, those are absolutely country songs. And he ended up being nominated for a lot of CMA awards and ACM awards. He won AMAs for male country artists and things like that. So he was somewhat accepted into the country music community, but not by everyone. And there was a lot of controversy over, does he deserve to be nominated? He's not from Nashville. He's not a country artist. He's not making country music as a general rule, but he did make a lot of country music, and he had a lot of friends in the country music world. So some people did support him and wanted him included, but some people weren't so happy about it. One story in particular, which I only found out about recently, John Denver was not able to attend the CMA Awards, I believe in 1975, but he was nominated for Entertainer of the Year. And people have defended this person's actions in different ways and said, oh, they were just drunk or it was a joke and it didn't come off well. I guess nobody knows for sure, but this is what a lot of people think. So Charlie Rich was a pretty big country artist at that time, and he was the presenter for Entertainer of the Year. And when he was about to read the name, he said, and the CMA award for Entertainer of the Year goes to, and then he lit the piece of paper on fire. And then he said, my friend John Denver. And John Denver wasn't there, so he was coming in by a video screen, and he couldn't see what was going on, so he had no idea. But there were audience reactions, and people were just kind of confused, not exactly sure what to make of it, but he just accepted the award. He was very grateful and happy. He was always happy. But yeah, like, that's a bit controversial. Everyone knew there was some tension about the whole thing, and then whether Charlie Rich was acting on that sentiment or if it was a joke, nobody quite knew what to make of it. So that just kind of furthered hostility. Like, he's winning our awards and he's our Entertainer of the Year, but he's not really one of us. So that's just something I find kind of interesting, and he probably had to deal with a lot of that and had to probably put up with a lot of insulting questions or not so friendly conversations with people in the country music world. And I love country music. Like, I adore country music. And I think he made significant contributions to country music. And I think it's really sad that not everyone was accepting of him, especially because he was making country music. I get mad when pop artists are winning country awards or playing at our award shows, but I think that's quite a bit different than what John Denver was making, and comparing that to country music than, say, you know, Beyonce performs at the CMA Awards or whatever. One of my favorite John Denver songs, possibly my all-time favorite, is Calypso. And this goes back to his environmental work and wanting to preserve nature and things like that. Calypso was the name of a ship. The people on it studied ocean life, and they wanted to understand it better so that they could help protect it and just do whatever they could to preserve all the things that lived in the ocean. So John Denver got to go on the Calypso, and he wrote part of this song while he was on that boat. And the song talks about how we can learn from the dolphins and things like that, and things that live in the sea, how we can take lessons from that and use them in our own lives. So he was definitely very in tune to nature and how we could relate to that as humans. I actually named my guitar Calypso after that because I view that song as kind of the ocean is telling us stories, and guitar can tell stories, so that's why I named my guitar Calypso. That's just a little aside. But things like that, he was always incorporating nature into his songs. Unfortunately, John Denver tragically died in October of 1997 in a plane crash. He was the only person in the plane. He was the pilot, and he was attempting to switch fuel tanks, and he was not able to do that, and things went wrong, and he lost control of the plane and crashed. I was just a baby at the time, so I do not remember this, but I know people say, yeah, it was just really sad. Everybody knew him. He was just this nice guy. He loved flying. He was so passionate about it, and that's how he went out, and it was very, very sad. When that happened, he was 53 years old, and he definitely had plenty of career and life ahead of him. But despite the fact that his life was cut short by that tragedy, he accomplished so much during his lifetime, more than a lot of artists ever do. He made so much music, and so many songs that he made are still influencing the world today, and people know his songs and love his songs and learn from him. And he did so much for the political causes that he believed in. He did so much for environmentalism and humanitarian efforts. He really accomplished a lot. If you go to his website, they have a list of organizations that he was a part of. It's so inspiring to see how much work he did to make the world a better place and how passionate he was about that. But most of all, I do think his music was so inspiring in the way that it related to humanity. I think everyone could find a John Denver song that they find themselves in. And I just love watching old interviews of John Denver talking about nature. He gets so excited and so animated. It's so nice to watch just how in love with life and with nature he was. It was just absolutely beautiful. John Denver is someone I wish I could have known. I think he just seemed like such a sweet guy. He just seemed like a very friendly, down-to-earth kind of person. So that's the end of this week's More Than the Music video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. I would really appreciate it if you could comment if John Denver has inspired you in any way. I would absolutely love to hear about that. And if there's an artist that you want me to look up and learn more about, you could tell me why they're inspiring to you, or just drop their name and I will do some research. I am currently working on looking up some of those artists as we speak. But yeah, I really want this channel to be content for you guys. I like part of this being exposing you to artists that maybe you don't know about, but I also want this to be me creating content that you guys want. You are taking the time to watch my videos, and I appreciate that so much. So I want this to be worth your time, and if you have an artist that you would like me to cover, I would just absolutely love to do that. And of course, I'll give you guys a shout out. If your artist is the one I'm covering that week, I will for sure shout you out and post pictures of your social media or put your name on the screen or whatever. So that's it for this week's video. Make sure to come back on Friday for my second vlog. I've got a pretty fun topic, I think. So I really appreciate if you come back for that. I appreciate so much if you watch this video, any portion of it, but if you're still watching, thank you. That's amazing. And be sure to connect with me on social media. I would love to see you guys on there. I'll link those below for you. Yeah, thanks for watching this video. Catch you guys on the B-side.